In everything you've described, there's a shape. You encounter a woman, she sees you, you retreat. The pattern has been consistent, but you've been in Edmonton since 1980. Is there anyone who doesn't fit the shape?
There is one.
Tell me.
Rochelle. She was my neighbor on 115th Street in the autumn of 1980. I was 16, not quite 17. She was 18. She had a boyfriend called Darren who was 21 and drove a red pickup and thought of himself as the final word on most things. She was, from the first week I arrived in Edmonton, before I had learned the social map of the street or the community or the school, she was simply there, 3 houses down. In her garden most afternoons, she would look up from whatever she was doing and nod, not with the performance that most people nodded with the actual nod of someone who has registered you and found the registering sufficient.
You're not reading that. You've had it open at the same page for 20 minutes. I've been watching from the kitchen window.
That was how it began, not with electricity, with the fold-out table and the unread calculus and the practical offer of help.
I can help with calculus. I finished it last year.
Over the following 3 weeks, the afternoons on either side of the fence became a habit that neither of us had arranged and neither of us questioned.
How is Lagos different from here?
Lagos is loud in a way that includes you. Edmonton is quiet in a way that makes you aware of your own noise. The cold keeps people inside. Inside, people are quiet. The fact of Darren was present. I held it in the correct category. He was 16 and she was 18 and she was in a relationship, and the fold-out table and the calculus were what they were. I held it in the correct category until a Tuesday afternoon in October when the holding became more complicated. At some point in the afternoon, the biology text slid from Rochelle's lap. She reached for it, and the chair shifted, and she lost her balance slightly, and my hand went out in the automatic reflex of someone moving to prevent a fall.
Dio, that is... you should probably move your hand.
She went very still. Not the stillness of discomfort, something different. A stillness that had a different quality to it, a different kind of arrested attention. As if something had arrived in the nervous system that was requiring full acknowledgement. Then she laughs, quietly, the laugh of someone ambushed by their own nervous system.
I did not know that. I was not aware of that particular... I did not know that.
On the 4th Thursday, it was raining. They were inside. Her parents were out, a fact neither of them had arranged and both of them had noticed. They were at the kitchen table. The rain at the window was doing what Edmonton rain did, patient, committed, providing cover for things that needed cover. Rochelle looks at young Dio across the kitchen table, the practical observer expression giving way to something that is not practical and is not pretending to be.
Dio, you are 16, nearly 17. And Darren...
I am trying to make the sensible argument, and I find I am not very convincing, even to myself. Then perhaps the sensible argument is not the relevant one, I replied. She moved from the kitchen chair to the one beside me. What happens between them? Not the full register, but enough. The specific enough of 2 people who have arrived at genuine mutual recognition. They hold each other in the kitchen, rain at the window, his face in her hair, her hands on his arms. The quality of the holding is something real within its real limits. What happened then was conducted in the register that the rain at the window and the empty house and 4 Thursdays of managed proximity had made available. Not the full register. She was 18 and clear-eyed and honest about the geometry of what was possible and what was not. But enough. They pull back from each other. Rochelle looks at young Dio with the expression of someone who has given something real and wants the giving to be received correctly.
You are going to be remarkable, Dio. I want you to know that. I can already see it.
I'm saying I cannot be what this deserves to be. Not right now. Not in the current geometry. But I want you to know that I see you, the actual you, before you learn to perform yourself for other people. She was my first witness, the first accurate one, the first person who saw the thing before the performance was installed, and described it clearly and without agenda. Everything I have been doing in this room for 7 sessions, trying to get back to the version that existed before the performance. She saw that version when it was the only version.
She was the exception to the pattern.
She did not require management. She saw me accurately, completely, before I had learned to present a surface, and she did not leave because of the scene. She left because of the geometry. The geometry was real, and she respected it. And she told me she saw me before she left. The back of her calves. I discovered it by accident, and I have never told anyone that story in 46 years. I am not entirely sure why I told it today.
Yes, you are.
Because Rochelle's kitchen was the last room in which the 16-year-old and the room were simply the same thing, the same unmanaged thing. Before the performance and the empire and the exits measured from the entry point, she was the last person I was entirely myself with before I started becoming the other version. And the one you are speaking to now is trying to find his way back to what Rochelle saw, the remarkable things she could already see, without the performance, without the empire as the proof, simply what was there in the kitchen before the rain stopped. In the elevator, descending, he pressed one hand against his sternum and allowed himself to miss her. Not with the possessive ache of the wound, with the clean, quiet, specific tenderness of someone who was seen clearly at 16 and has been grateful for it ever since.